Field of 68 After Dark. Welcome in Field of 68 After Dark here on a Tuesday, March 24th edition of the show. We're on YouTube. We're on SiriusXM, College Sports Channel 84. We're on X. We'll be with you for the next hour and change. A lot to get to, some news in the coaching ranks. We're going to preview the Sweet 16 and get some analysis on those games, but a lot to get to. Matt McCall, John Martin, Mike LaTulip. I'll address my situation at the right time, but I don't really have a lot of details. If you're watching this on YouTube or X, there's something that is wrong with me more than usual cosmetically. My left eye. I'm like Lisa Left Eye Lopez over here. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna battle through it today on the show.
Did you get punched? Did something happen in Memphis today? Were you at Ching's Wings?
No,
like
actually, today was a pretty calm day. Today was a calm day in Memphis, man.
Right.
I'm going to continue to monitor this. Mike LaTulip had a diagnosis for me. I'm going to look into that. But in the meantime, in between time, Hubert Davis officially out at North Carolina after 5 seasons. Made a title game that first year, made a Sweet 16 run 2 years ago in the tournament, but not enough as they lose to VCU in the first round. Matt, we'll come to you. You were there with us in Oxon Hill, Maryland when this happened. We were doing the stream there with BetMGM. So we've kind of talked about this as though it was coming. But just you've been in this coaching business, you know how tough it is. Just your initial thoughts on this decision by Carolina.
Well, obviously, Coach Davis, this was not his decision. When you think about the statement that he released, that was one of the things that we were kind of contemplating. Does he want to step down with all the pressure that's going on? I have said this so many times over the last 4 days since all this news of, is he going to be back? Is he not going to be back? The biggest issue is what's going on at Duke and what Jon Scheyer is doing at Duke. And that puts more pressure on the situation at Carolina, which it is what it is. He's won 20 games every single year that he's been the head coach. He's coached in a national championship game. He's won an ACC championship. He's got him to a Sweet 16. I understand the standard is national championships and winning national championships. And I'm sticking with what Scott Van Pelt said when we were in Maryland at the MGM, and you better know who you're getting. And you better bring someone in that can win a national championship right off the bat when they get the job. So to make this move, to have this, to make this decision, is he's one of their own. So now where does the program go next? And I think that the whole situation on the job that Jon Scheyer's doing down at Duke, that put a lot of pressure on the situation that's going on at Carolina. Just my opinion.
Mike, want to get you in on this before we will talk, candidates and who makes sense for the job, but just your thoughts. 125 and 54. UNC is a different job, I think is probably the takeaway here, as we know, but we're seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, good, above average. It's Carolina. And that's the reality of this. And I think to McCall's point, what Van Pelt had mentioned, I got to imagine that you've spent the last, whatever it is, 5 days or so, 5-6 days, 5 days, I guess. It's not, I would imagine it's not just, hey, what do we want to do? Are we going the other direction? Are we retaining them? I got to think there was some groundwork being laid somewhere. Back channel conversations, whatever it may be, to set us up to see who this next Carolina head coach is going to be. But like I said, it's just, even going back to the run for to the national title game. I mean, that was a team playing in the 8-9 game, and then the next year you followed up with being the number one team preseason, and you don't make the NCAA tournament. And so that's just the the volatility, I think, over the last few years, it's not what we've come to expect with North Carolina. Again, it's a new day and age, but yeah, I mean, I think this gives Tanner and the administration and people an opportunity to go outside the family, and I'll be really curious to see what direction they do go in.
Let's talk about some candidates. You know, we were given an assignment by the powers that be here at Field of 68 to come up with some names. Now, we had some fun with it in the group chat, but this needs to be a serious exercise, Matt. So why don't we just kick it off with you, man? Who if you were running North Carolina and you had to replace Hubert Davis, where are you turning?
I mean, you have to go after every big name there is out there. Every single one. I mean, you're North Carolina. I mean, Scott Van Pelt said it on the Field of 60 the other night. You're North Carolina. So this is not a situation where it's like we're casting a national search. No, you're going after who are the best coaches right now in the country. Young coaches that would actually take the job. Not take the job, I'm not saying that, or young coaches that are killing at the jobs that they're at. Tommy Lloyd, Dusty May, Todd Golden. Those are the first names that come to mind. Coach Billy Donovan. Like, everyone wants to talk about that. Everyone wants to talk to me about that. I don't know if Coach would take the job, but I'm just saying those are the guys that you have to go after. Brad Stevens, like, no, he's the GM of the Boston Celtics. I don't think he's coming to Carolina to take the job, but it is North Carolina. Make the phone call. See if he says no. See if Coach Donovan says no. See if Dusty May says no. See if, you know, all these guys. I mean, this is North Carolina. This is one of the best jobs in all of college basketball. That's what you have to do. So who takes the job? TJ Altenberger. Like, those guys right now that are killing it, you have to call them all and make them say no.
Mike, would you start with Billy Donovan?
Honestly, I think I would. And I'd probably start with Billy Donovan and Brad Stevens, only because I think you are going to have at least a list of candidates, really good candidates that are currently coaching, at the high major level that would be interested in this job, obviously. But I think look at the Sweet 16 right now, and I think there's a little trepidation from people when you think about going from NBA coming to college, but a lot of the success you're seeing, a lot of the coaches, a few of the coaches at least, that are in the Sweet 16 right now. I mean, think about Pitino, college, NBA, back to college. Calipari, college, NBA, back to college. Hubert, same thing. Kelvin Sampson, same thing. I mean, that's the mold that I think Billy Donovan fits. Those are the guys that I think have been able to have success because they've been well-traveled in that regard. I think Donovan is one of those guys. But all the names that I think that that McCall mentioned that are currently in college, I think are all good names. I mean, I even, to add to that list too, and we talked about this the other night, but I don't think McCaslin leaves Texas, the state of Texas, but I would call him. Like, that dude has shown that he can build a program, sustain a program, create an infrastructure for pros. Toppin's going to be a pro. Anderson's going to be a pro. Like, he's done that, and you're going to need to do that at North Carolina. But I think not getting too caught up in, like, yes, you are Carolina. Yes, you need to obviously shoot for the stars here, but also understand, like, you need to find a damn good coach, not just a name.
Yes.
And that I think is the ultimate difference here in terms of what could be them actually solving the issue and getting Carolina back to where it needs to be, or having this conversation again in 4 to 5 years.
And Mike, I think you bring up real quick, John. I think you bring up a great point, just in terms of that, like, the family. You know, everyone talks about the family. We got to stay within the family. One of the best things that Coach Shire did, appreciative of the opportunity that he got, appreciative of the opportunity that Coach K put his stamp on it, but he didn't just hire all Duke guys. He hired Jay Lucas, who was played at the University of Florida, played at Texas, worked at Kentucky under Coach Calipari. Like, you have to do it your way. You can't just say it's always been done this way, so this is what we're going to do. Look at Villanova. Like, look what Villanova's doing now under Coach Willard. They got back to the NCAA tournament. You know, when Kyle Neptune was there, it was a part of the family. And this is not a knock on Kyle Neptune. And I've said this on this podcast a million times. You have to be who you are as a head coach. Jon Scheyer is who he is as a head coach. He's appreciative of what Coach K has done. But what's the first move he made? He hired a GM. What's the second move he made? He hired guys around him that are they Duke guys? Or did they play at Duke? Maybe some of them. But everybody that's been at North Carolina on that staff has been at North Carolina. And to turn the corner for that program, whoever comes in has to do it their way. Does that mean hiring a Carolina guy? Maybe. Like, look what the University of Florida and Todd Golden's doing right now. There's one former player or one former coach on that staff that had worked under Coach Donovan. That's Torian Green, one of the greatest players. Todd Golden surrounds himself with people that he trusts, because that's the most important thing to do as a head coach is everyone has to echo your message in that locker room and say, hey, man, this may have been the way under this guy, which was great. This may have been the way under this guy, which is great. But this is the head coach now. He's got to do it his way. And if it's not his way, it's not going to work. You can't always do it the same way. And I think Villanova is a prime example of that. I think Jon Scheyer right now is a prime example of that. It's just that's what Carolina has to do, because it is the, if not the best job, one of the best jobs in college basketball.
Yeah, I think to your point, I mean, it's working with Duke, with Scheyer right now, but I think that's more of the exception and not the rule when it comes to staying 100%. In the family. I think that handicaps you. I think it totally limits you. I can give you a lot more examples of keeping it in the family going wrong than I can keeping it in the family and it going right. There's a couple other names I want to throw out because I think, I mean, this is a job that's resourced. They have a ton of money. You know, I think they're really motivated to get this thing back and be right there or even ahead of Duke. So, Mike, if we say, okay, Billy Donovan decides he doesn't want to do it for whatever reason, Todd Golden at Florida, we're just going to subject Matt McCall to all the former or current Florida coaches. What would you make of Todd Golden at UNC? Do you think he gets a call?
I think he gets a call. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Todd Golden, and I think this is true for, and I'm not saying that Hubert Davis wasn't this, but there's just certain guys, Todd Golden being one of them, where like that dude's a competitor. Like, he is a freaking competitor. And he is, we saw it in that Iowa game. We've seen it over the years. That stuff's not an accident. Like, you don't just win accidentally. That's a big component. And I think he's created a level of toughness that I think Billy Donovan created when he was at Florida. And so I think those are the kind of things that you have to look at. I think we're more equipped now than we've ever been, I think, to be able to vet coaches. There's all the analytics, there's data, there's everything out there outside of, damn, this dude knocked this interview the hell out of the park. Like, there's way more than that. There's plenty of good orators, right? Then that could go into an interview and be great. But you just look at what Todd Golden has done in such a short time at Florida, and it's super impressive. Super impressive. We just seen, and I know they lost in the round of 32, but we've seen the history over the last how many years of defending national champions outside of UConn in 23 and 24 getting back to the top. So absolutely you should get a call. And I should add too, I made the point about the NBA, and I think there's other areas I mentioned with like Patino, with Cal, with some of those guys where it's worked, Hoiberg, where it's worked. But there's been other places too where you go the straight from NBA to college route without the college prior, whether it's Mike Woodson, Avery Johnson, Chris Mullen, Patrick Ewing, like that. Those are the ones that obviously haven't worked out. Now, like, is the jury still out on Kevin Young? I don't know. Musselman, mixed results. But it's interesting, man. But to answer your question, yes,
it's a great point.
Absolutely,
That's a great point. It's a great point. Great point.
Which one?
Just in terms of the NBA.
He makes great points all the time.
College-
I just want to be specific about which great point we're
which
giving
one?
to
No,
Mike.
just the point of these NBA coaches, like they get labeled NBA coaches. What about the college coaches that went to the NBA and came back to college and had an unbelievable amount of success? I mean, Calipari, Rick Pitino, those guys have had unbelievable amount of success going up there, learning from whatever happened up there and coming back to college. I mean, that's and the label of NBA coaches that haven't worked out in college. Well, they played in college, but they never coached in college. That's a different deal.
Yeah.
And don't you feel don't you feel like that those guys are more equipped nowadays with the college foundation going to the NBA to handle what this landscape is now?
I couldn't agree more. Like, totally agree with you because it's transactional. And hiring a GM, which is what John Shire did the day that he got the job, he hired a GM who had been in the EYBL space, worked for Nike, a lot of relationships within there, and Hubert Davis didn't. And the recruiting piece of it is, hey, listen, this is what it is. It's all transactional now, which frees up the head coach to just be a head coach, just coach the team, which is what the NBA does. So, or what the NBA is. So, yeah, I think it's different now. And if you have that experience and if you hire the right people, you put the right people around you. And Goodman said this today with Dauster in terms of whoever gets this Carolina job. It's all about the staff and whatever head coach gets this job, how they're surrounding themselves. That's the most important thing. There's no question about it. But the GM free the coach up to be able to just be the head coach and put his stamp of approval on, yeah, I want this guy. Not that he's not going to evaluate or recruit or do any of that, but yeah, this is a guy I can coach. This is a guy that fits the culture that I'm about. This is a guy that fits the things that I'm about. This is what we need to do.
I think I don't obviously have any information. I'm not plugged into the UNC search here, but I think the challenge for them is going to be, I think they have multiple guys who would say yes, right? I think they have, I think Kentucky was having a hard time, for example, getting people to say yes. We know that. I think for North Carolina, they're going to have to, okay, is it Todd Golden? Is it Nate Oates? Is it Byington at Vandy? They're going to have to work through, because I think all those guys would go. TJ Altenberger, I think, would go. So I think their challenge, Mike, is identifying, all right, what do we really prioritize in this position? What's the most important thing? Because I think all those guys offer different things, right? Like in the end, they're all really good coaches, but they do it in different ways. So I think that's what we're going to learn about in terms of what does North Carolina want out of its coach. And I think that's going to be what they have to decide.
Yeah, and I think you want to find obviously the personality match. I think sometimes that gets a little bit overblown. I mean, I look at Otzelberger and it's like what he's done with those Iowa State teams the last few years, where it's like tilted more defensively, and then the last 2 years it's been a great blend of like, hey, this is a top 15 offense and defense, which I think is, if you're Carolina, that's what you want. You want a coach that's going to be able to come in and not, I think, have their identity. Because when you think of Carolina, you just think of a certain brand of basketball. Like you think fast, you think athletic, you think up and down. So I think that's going to have to correlate to whoever the head coach is. Like I don't think they're going to bring in somebody that is, it's like I know I've seen Ben McCollum's name thrown out there, right? I think Ben McCollum is one of the best coaches that is in the sport. I really do believe that. And I just think, what style would he bring to a North Carolina, and would that mesh, right? that I think that factors in the equation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if they wound up with somebody that wasn't, I mean, I'm just skeptical about Billy Donovan naturally, but maybe, he will look at this as, his last chance to get back in at a high level job. We'll see. I think that
Why are you
job
skeptical?
security.
Hold on. Skeptical about what?
Skeptical that he would take the job.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, not that he would be able
that's
to.
fine. Like, okay,
yeah,
all right.
not that he would be good at the job. What do you guys think? I'm stupid. I only have one eye, but I'm not
you
stupid.
Want me like go pull out the national championship rings underneath my drawer over here? Like, okay.
No, I'm putting him to the side because I don't have necessarily the highest confidence that he'll do it. I wouldn't walk away from the job security in Chicago. I don't know if you guys realize this. Chicago sports, they never fire their coaches. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You just always are the Chicago sports coach. So he gets.
I was gonna say, don't you feel like this would be him extending his shelf life a little bit?
Oh, for sure.
If he were to,
if that's something that he cares about, I don't know. His shelf life, it gets extended every other offseason in Chicago, and he doesn't even have to win.
Yeah, but like you never. I mean, a year
here's the thing.
Outside here's the thing. He might be gone anyway.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this, full transparency for everybody that's listening. My father and Billy Donovan are the two most influential people in my entire life. One of Coach Donovan's biggest strengths is his loyalty to everybody. So he has a contract with Chicago. He's not just walking away. That's not who he is. Does Jerry Reinsdorf or somebody come to him and say, hey, you have this opportunity. We want to help you because of what you've done for our franchise, even with all the, transition that we've had? Maybe that happens. But Coach is not just walking away. That's not who he is. That's his biggest strength as a human being. And maybe a flaw too, he's had multiple opportunities to come back to college. But we'll see what transpires, but that's what makes him who he is. And every single person that's ever worked for him would say the exact same thing. He is the most loyal human being that we've ever been associated with in terms of the coaching business. That's who he is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm not sure that he takes it, but I think I would just be really floored if North Carolina didn't end up with one of, Todd Golden, Nate Oates, Byington, Otzelberger. Like, I just would be shocked if they didn't end up with one of those coaches. So should be an intriguing search. It's obviously they have to go outside the family now because I'm not sure if there's anybody left in it that's still doing this. So we'll see. It should be an intriguing search, and we'll have everything for you here on the Field of 68. All right, we'll come back. We got tournament games to talk about. The Sweet 16 is set, so we'll talk about those regions, those matchups when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app. You sign up using bonus code FIELD. You deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. March Madness is here, and you know what that means. It's a time of excitement and a time when legends are forged. In other words, it's a time to wear chubby. Skies out, thighs out, baby. It's getting warmer. The clock's moved up an hour, and it's time for Chubbies. Chubbies was founded in 2011 by a group of friends with a simple mission: rid closets of uncomfortable clothes and put the fun back in functional fits. They set out to create shorts, trunks, and polos that put personality back into your wardrobe with fits that look good and feel even better. Chubby shorts aren't just insanely comfortable. They're built with premium fabrics that are quick drying, wrinkle resistant, and antimicrobial. Chubbies keeps you comfy, casual, and dangerously confident. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners a 20% off discount with code F68 at chubbiesshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with code F68. Give your thighs the VIP treatment that they deserve. Support our show and tell them we sent you.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark on a Tuesday, March 24th edition of the show. Got Matt McCall, Mike LaTulip, John Martin here with you tonight for about 35 more minutes on Sirius XM, and then we're going to move over to we have afters, right, Dagan? Yes, we got, and then we'll have the afters after this show. All right, let's get to the tournament. Let's get to some games. We're in the Sweet 16. Lots to get to. Matt, did you see Florida lose to Iowa?
What, John? Why? Why? Like,
I couldn't.
We're on to the Sweet 16.
Obviously, I'm swollen.
Your eyes messed up. Like, you got, like, I don't know what's going on there. You got a mosquito bite. Like, what are the size of the mosquitoes in Memphis, like, that are biting your eye there? Like, what's going on? And you want to go back to last weekend? No, I don't want to talk about the defense while there was three guys trailing the play. I don't want to talk about not getting a shot up on the last possession. I want to talk about the Sweet 16. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, per the rundown,
okay,
I was instructed to ask you, with Florida out, is this region wide open?
Oof. Yeah, I would say. I would say it's wide open. I would say that it's wide open. We got three teams from the Big Ten. So we're sitting here saying, is this the streak? Is the streak going to end? 26 years, haven't won a national championship since 2000 in Michigan State when they knocked off the Florida Gators. I was actually at the game with my father. So, I think this is Houston being in Houston throws a different dimension into this. But this Illinois team, I don't know. And I would love, and I'm not trying to throw it on LaTulip because I know he's an Illinois guy, but this team – going through some adversity, Boswell being out the time that he was, Wagler kind of coming into his own. I thought Illinois was the team that could beat Florida in this region. Obviously, Iowa was able to do it. A couple late game executions there by the Gators, but am I crazy to think that Illinois can knock off Houston? In Houston.
I mean, Mike, what do you think?
No, you're not crazy. You're not crazy, McCall. I will say, though, I will say this, though. I think, yes, I think that region does become wide open. But we did the Selection Sunday show, and I had mentioned I thought that South region was going to be the region of chaos. Like, I just thought something was going to happen in that region just because of – and looking at that Florida game specifically, it's like, the pace of Iowa or Clemson was always going to make that an odd game for Florida. But I look at, you're looking at the Illinois-Houston matchup, which I think is at this point, and I know Duke St. John's would probably be maybe the other one, but that's probably the main event, if you want to call it that, in the Sweet 16, and in my opinion. But I just think for Houston, or even for Nebraska and Iowa, like, this is not only the only matchup of teams that have played each other in the regular season this year, they've done it twice. And so, and it was just an absolute chess match in both of those games, from Iowa City and then to Lincoln. And now these guys get to see each other a third time. it's just I'm very much looking forward to that game. It's one of the tightest spreads, but the Houston Illinois game, I just think there's so much at stake there in terms of how that shakes out. Because for Illinois and Houston, I think your eyes light up knowing that it's not Florida you're matched up with if you take care of business. But the flip side of that, as we've seen in this tournament over the years, is that you're going to be the favorite against a team that has already exceeded expectations, whether it be Iowa or Nebraska. They've already exceeded expectations, and they are completely playing with house money, completely with the wind at their back. And how many times have we seen this in this tournament where it's like, you think you have a favorite picked out, and you just have a team that has that lack of pressure advantage, which I think both Iowa and Nebraska could have, regardless of who wins that Houston-Illinois game.
I mean, I think if you're either one of those teams, all respect, I mean, you got to be kind of licking your chops, right? I mean, I respect what Iowa and Nebraska have done to get here, but you're telling me that all I got to do to get to a Final Four is beat one of them? I mean, this is, this.
Yeah, but
I get it. I get it. I mean, I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but
sides of that though, because there's the pressure element of it, whether for Kelvin Sampson or for Brad Underwood, whoever wins that game, if you lose to an Iowa or Nebraska, who Illinois has already lost to this year in Nebraska, and Iowa, that game got close in Iowa City. Illinois pulled it out, but you know that if they lose those games, which I think Nebraska, I'm not putting anything off the table for either Nebraska or Iowa. Just the way they play, their style's unique, both of them. But for Kelvin Sampson and for Brad Underwood, you got to think that if you win that game, then play Nebraska or Iowa and lose for a chance to go to the Final Four, that will probably sting more than losing to Florida. I mean, I think we all recognize that, right? Am I crazy to think that?
Yeah. Yes, because they'd be big favorites against either one of those teams.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And just the fact that this game, and I was on Sirius XM today and we interviewed Kelvin Sampson, Coach Sampson, and the guy was unbelievable, so gracious, talking about he would have stayed on with us for 30 minutes if he could have. And he's so appreciative of where they are right now as a program. And we were talking about Emmanuel Sharp, and he was talking about his freshman. And I asked him the question, the 3-game losing streak that you went on, do you feel like that helped you in terms of going through that adversity? Because I brought this up, being on the bench in 2007 when we went through that adversity and losing 3 out of 4 coming down the stretch in SEC play, catapulting us to the national championship in 2007 to go back-to-back. Do you feel like that adversity has helped you and this team? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Because, of course, we have the guys that are coming back. We're also playing multiple freshmen. Like, Kingston Flemings is still a freshman. Like, let's not forget that. Like, we're playing all these freshmen to say, hey, look, we lost at Kansas. We lost to Arizona, who's an absolute wagon, I think is what his comment was. We lost at Iowa State. Like, those losses are, hey, we get a chance and we get an opportunity to hit reset here. And that's what makes this team so dangerous. And now they're in Houston with an opportunity to go to the Final Four. I don't know if it's destiny for Coach Sampson. I keep advocating for this guy. Is like, whenever he decides to walk away from the game, can he be in charge of college basketball? Can he be the guy that's like, I'm the decision maker. These are the rules. This is what we're doing. Can he be the guy?
I'm fine with it. I'll allow it. Love Kelvin. I hope he keeps going for a long time, though. I was kind of just peeking at some KP numbers. I mean, depending on who comes out of that, Iowa, Nebraska. I mean, I think you're talking about Illinois or Houston as at minimum probably a 6-point favorite. If it's Nebraska and Illinois, I think they'd probably be more like a 4.5 to 5-point favorite. If it's Iowa, that's going to creep up to 8, maybe 9, again, depending on the matchup. But either team is going to be a pretty sizable favorite. So I think they have to like the spot that they are in, no question about that. Looking forward to that one on Thursday night. All right, let's move to the West region here. We have we have a fantastic game also on Thursday, Arizona and Arkansas. This number opened at 8.5, 9. It's come all the way down, just keeps creeping down. John Calipari is great as an underdog in the tournament. And he's got, an opportunity here with Arizona. Can Arkansas do it, Mike LaTulip? Are they built to beat Arizona?
I'll be honest, it's hard for me to envision a world where Arkansas wins that game. And I've talked about this for weeks now, and I think their last 11 games, they've given up 45 points in the paint per game. 46 to High Point, 52 to Florida a few weeks back. And I just think, 58 to Alabama, albeit that was a high possession game with the overtimes. But at some point, that is going to come back to bite you in a big way. And I just feel like this Arizona team specifically, with how they find their advantages early, they try to get into the paint early. Your transition defense has to be great because they'll carve out space early. And I just think for that backcourt of Arkansas, for Acuff, for Malik Thomas, it's now. Defensively, it has to be now. And I think those two guys are talented enough offensively to potentially keep them in this game. But if they win this game, it'll be us, I think, sitting here being like, man, that's a Darius Acuff we haven't seen defensively. And I hear all the stuff that's like, well, I see all the, the excuses of they conserve energy because their bench is, not deep. And that's why they don't guard. I don't want to hear that. I think those guys are more than capable. I think they have the tools to do it. And they've gotten better as freshmen throughout the season. But I don't know. I keep saying this and they keep winning because they're so goddamn talented offensively. I mean, Darius Acuff, we talked about the other night, offensively as a freshman, it's stuff at the guard spot we really haven't seen before. So it's hard for me to write that off, but those two in the backcourt have to be good, have to, check Bradley, check Burries, because there's nowhere to hide against Arizona. Karchenkov, it doesn't matter who it is. And then you have to deal with the front court who comes in. So where does this Arkansas front court show up on the glass? That's the big question. That's why it's hard for me to see Arkansas win this game, but hard to write off the number 5, man.
Yeah. Matt, what do you think?
I think this Arizona team can win games in a lot of different ways. They can win games in the 90s. They can win games in the 60s if they have to. And I don't know that Arkansas has the defense to be able to slow this team down. I don't know. I think that's what's this Arizona is going to try to get this thing in the trenches, which is what they're fully capable of doing. We saw what Arkansas did against Florida and their struggles against how big that Florida team was. They really struggled in that basketball game. We also saw what Arizona did against Florida. I know it was the first game of the season, but still the size and the physicality of that team bothered Florida. I just think Arizona being too big can overwhelm this team, even though you can make a case Acuff's the best player in the NCAA tournament right now. Boozer is 1. He's 1A, 1B, these two guys. But I just think the size of Arizona is going to overwhelm this team, much like the size of the Florida Gators overwhelmed them when they played at Florida. I really believe that. So we'll see. I mean, but don't count out Acuff by any means. I mean, he's playing like the best player in the NCAA tournament. No question about it.
I'll put a qualifier. I'll put an additional qualifier on that because I like where you're going with that, McCall. I think that Darius Acuff is the most terrifying player with the ball in his hands in this tournament. I'll say that. That's where I'm at with Darius Acuff. If I'm an opposing fan base that is watching Arkansas, I am terrified when that dude has the ball in his hands.
Well, which is always.
Yes.
By the way. I mean, it's just it's all 40
So at least
minutes.
half the game I'm terrified.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a little confused honestly, by this number coming down, because I just think I don't want to say it's an easy game plan because Acuff is so great, but I just feel like Arizona's focus is pretty obvious. And I think about that physicality inside. That's really where, and I love this Arkansas team. I've loved it for a long time. Can they really score 90 on this Arizona defense? Like, I don't know, man.
What's the number?
I have my doubts.
What's the number again?
Currently? 7.5.
I mean, can't you just see like a 16 to 18 point game, late barrage from Acuff or Thomas, and then you're like, oh, holy shit, they just won by 6, right? Like that. That could be,
I guess that's what you're hoping for.
That could be how this game goes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very, very high total. I believe it's the highest total of the round, 166 currently. So, it just kind of comes down to how much success do you think Arkansas will be able to have, against that front line. We'll see. It's definitely one of the more. I think to me, it's the most intriguing game because Arkansas, you got to think with what they do, could be a live dog if Acuff is going off. But we shall see. All right, Purdue playing Texas. This Texas team all of a sudden out of nowhere is hot as fish grease. And I'm just wondering, Matt, is that something that you think can continue against Purdue, or have they met the end of the road here with the Boilermakers?
Yeah, I think it's the other side of things. Like, this Purdue team was dead in the water. Everyone was like, what's wrong? What happened? Preseason number 1. Like, where are they at? Like, this is, oh my gosh, they lose to Michigan at home. They lose to Illinois. Wisconsin beats them in there. What's wrong with this squad? They lose the last game on senior night. Hey, man, they still have Braden Smith. They still have who everybody thought going into the season was the national player of the year. They won the Big Ten tournament, and now they're in the Sweet 16. I posed this question the other day on SiriusXM. I said this. If they lose, let's just say they lose this game to Texas. Successful season for the squad? Being the preseason number 1 team in the country, they won the Big Ten tournament. They have a core group of guys that have been there and gone through so much, from being a number 1 seed to losing to a 16 seed to playing for the national championship. Zach Edey moves on and goes to the NBA. To now where they are, they're in the Sweet 16. They just won the Big Ten tournament when everybody was counting them out. Everybody. I have been very critical of Fletcher Loyer the entire season. He was outstanding the other day. Outstanding. They're going to move on and get to the Elite 8, in my opinion. Let's just say they don't make the Final Four. What successful season for this group? I think it is. I mean, Big Ten tournament championship? Come on. With where it was going?
Yeah, I mean, you would still feel like, based on having 2 returning All-Americans, that money was left on the table, though. I wouldn't call it a failure, but if it ended in the Elite 8.
So are you saying if they get to a Final Four, that's a successful season?
I mean, I think
beating Arizona too. Like, I think that's the way to snatch this thing back. Is we were the preseason number 1, and things went a little bit awry, just relative to our standards for Purdue and what we expected from this team. They regained control of the reins, won the Big Ten tournament, as McCall mentioned, and then now you got who I'd say is probably the favorite to win at this point, Arizona. I mean, I'd say most people you talk to picked Arizona to win, and you got a chance to go through them to get to a Final Four. I think you earn all of that back, and I do think that they win this game, and then now you got this older group with experienced dudes who have played in April, who are the underdogs. That's a scary thing. If
chip on think about everything they've been through. Think of what they've been through. I remember sitting there talking to Zach Edey after they lost in the first round to a 16 seed the following Big Ten Media Day and him talking about Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and saying, I wasn't even ready to play as a freshman. And like sticking up for those guys. Like that's where those guys have been. And to see them where they are now and all that adversity they've gone through, I'd be concerned if I was an Arizona fan. I'd be concerned.
Well, they lost 7 of 13 games. And if you think about it, if they take care of Texas, I think you just let it rip against Arizona. If Arizona, rip. I think let it rip against Arizona if Arizona beats Arkansas, obviously. And then you let's say Michigan comes out of the Midwest. This is a team you beat 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks before that. So there's a world where that team loses 7 of 13 games. Nobody was putting them back into the national title equation, and they could get there in freaking Indy. So it's all right there for Purdue. And I think for Texas, that's certainly a game you can't take lightly, because that's another one of these teams that they've exceeded expectations. It's house money yet again, and it's a talented group that is figuring out, like, oh damn, we got Dalen Swain, we got Mark, we got Bogota, like we got some dudes, and now you put that talent and throw some desperation in there, and it's like, oh shit, like these dudes can play, and they got a good coach. So it's not going to be an easy test by any means. CJ Cox, like it seems like they avoided some potential disaster there. He seemed to be all right walking around after the game, which is great. But these dudes, Trey Kaufman-Renn, Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, the usual suspects, these guys have freaking showed up in March, and they've been the tougher team in the majority of games they've played in March, probably all the games they've played in March. And I just think if they get to the Goliath, which is crazy because it feels like they were before the season, you cut it loose, man. You cut it loose. This can be a fun weekend.
Yep, I got to obviously get through Sean Miller and the Longhorns first, but it would set up obviously and Arizona's got to get through past Arkansas, but it would set up a banger Elite Eight, no question about that. All right, we got some more heavyweight fights to get to. We got Dan Hurley taking on Tom Izzo. We got Rick Pitino, John Shire. I mean, this is just unbelievable. We'll get to them when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
It's 2026. Everything in our world has leveled up. Our phones are supercomputers, your car parks itself, but your razor is still flimsy and overpriced. That's where Harry's Plus comes in. Harry's Plus has an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face. It has refined blade tech for a close and smoother shave, and has a weighted metal handle for added control and comfort. Most importantly for me, Harry's Plus has German-engineered blades that are honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly and without razor burn. I may have a beard, but I still need to shave my neck to make sure I don't look like Paul Gasol. And with Harry's, I have never dealt with razor burn, painful bumps, or the kind of nicks and cuts that you get with drugstore blades. If you don't love your shave, Harry's will make it right, no questions asked. There's zero downside to giving it a shot. For a limited time, our listeners get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/F68. This set includes all new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foamy shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/F68 and tell them we sent you. Today's episode of the Field of 68 is brought to you by Mando. Some men mask their BO with sense. Mando men get the job done right. Mando whole body deodorant was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. You want a solid deodorant stick? Mando's got one formulated and powered by a mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. You like spray bottles? Mando's is aluminum free and ideal for hard to reach places. All Mando products are baking soda and paragon free, and it's safe for anywhere on your body. Pits, balls, thighs, folds, feet, even the grundle. It's perfect for me this time of year. I'm spending 15 hours a day in an arena that hasn't had the AC turned on yet. If I didn't have Mando products, I might smell like the guy sitting next to me on press row, because Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than Old Spice. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? You can find it in Walmart and Target and other retailers across the country. But for the best deals, go to shopmando.com and use code F68 for 20% off at checkout.
Welcome back, Field of 68 after dark. We're previewing the Sweet 16. It's Matt McCall. I'm John Martin. Mike LaTulip here on the show. We've been talking about we talked about the South. We talked about the West. We're moving across the map here. Let's get to the East. Really excited about this. I cannot wait for this game. I mean, honestly, both games. But St. John, or as I affectionately refer to them as, the St. John's Johnnies. That's what I think they should go by. But Goodman won't let me call them that permanently. But they are taking on Duke, these Blue Devils who, listen, they kind of let's call it what it is. They survive against Siena, and then they're in a dogfight with TCU for what, Matt McCall, 20, 28, 30 minutes, maybe even longer before they
dogfight. I mean, come on, you can't call it.
It was back and forth for a long time. TCU, I think, took a second half lead now. Duke turned the water off, but it was not nearly as lopsided to me as the final score indicated. And so now you have a Duke team that may be getting back Caleb Foster. I doubt it, but it seems like it's on the table. Can St. John's and Rick Pitino, can they pull off this upset here in the East region? Matt McCall.
It's crazy for me to say yes when you think that Duke has 2 losses on the season and they're both by 1 possession. Like that's crazy for me to think. And I think St. John's wins the game. I don't know if it's the Coach Pitino mentality. I have no idea. But, yeah, I think St. John's can beat them. I think the front court of Zuby Ejiofor and Bryce Hopkins, can they play through those guys? Seeing Dylan Darling make that shot the other night, knowing that your 2 best players on the floor are in your front court, and you can't go to them in that situation. And I thought Kansas fouling the way that they fouled was almost a textbook of, hey, we have fouls to give. This is what we have to do. And then on a side out of bounds situation, the ball has to go to Dylan Darling in that situation. You can't go to Bryce Hopkins. He doesn't have the speed to get down the lane and make a play like that. You can't throw it to Zuby Ejiofor on a side out of bounds situation and say, hey, go make a play. And what happened? Everybody's been so critical of the guard play from St. John's all season long. Who made a play with the season on the line? A guard for this team. It's crazy for me to think that St. John's is going to win this game because Duke only has 2 losses, but I think St. John's is going to win the game.
Well, I think the reason why you say that, and I'll go to you on this, Mike, is because it feels like St. John's is in form. It feels like they are one of the hottest teams in the country, obviously coming off that Big East championship. And when you compare what Duke has kind of looked like, since the Caleb Foster injury, let's just go down the list here. Now, they won these games, but we're talking about how you're looking, right? Easily could have lost to Florida State. Easily could have lost to Virginia. Easily could have lost to a 5-man Siena team. That if they even had you out there, they might be able to win, Mike. And then obviously TCU, they pull away late. So Duke has just not looked like the, firing on all cylinders machine the last 4 to 5 games that St. John's honestly has. I mean, St. John's was in control before they kind of yacked it up there at the end against Kansas.
So Caleb Foster's health is huge because Duke has had turnover issues in this tournament. And this is not a team that you want to turn the ball over against. And Caleb Foster, in the 6 games leading up to his injury, had 2 turnovers total. So that's just a guy that can be a calming influence out there. But I do think that this is game 2 for Gongba getting back into form. I said this after the game the other night. I thought he's the reason they won the game. Because of what they're able to do when he's on the floor, both defensively and offensively. My question for Coach McCall, because this is the story in my eyes, is what are the matchups in the front court? Because I keep going back and forth in my head when I'm like, I like Duke's front court better, and especially if Caleb Foster's playing, I like Duke's backcourt better. So if I like the backcourt and the front court, why am I not taking Duke? So I am taking Duke in the game, but I'm just curious, McCall, what are your matchups in the front court? Do you put Ejiofor on Boozer and put Mitchell on Brown and or Gongba, or do you flip that? Do you double? Because they didn't I just looked at Terrace Reed. Terrace Reed, they doubled during the regular season. Big East tournament, they stayed home. They just stayed home, and they're like, we're staying home on shooters. Yeah. Terrace Reed, if you want to have 17 points on 17 shots, great. Are they going to do that to Boozer? Where they're like, hey, Boozer, if you want 28 points on 20 shots, cool, but these other dudes aren't getting off. Like, that's the game for me, is the matchups.
I think the matchups is the game too. And go back to the UConn game, and there was a timeout where the microphone was in the huddle with Pitino, and Pitino says, play through Zuby. We're not playing through Zuby. Well, you couldn't play through Zuby because he's your best playmaker, but he was getting denied all over the floor. Like, I love it when St. John's is able to reverse the ball through him and play through him on the perimeter. So if you're Duke and you're sitting here, can somebody deny him? Can they take him out of the game even when he's on the perimeter? I think that's another key matchup in this, because we haven't seen it in the NCAA tournament yet of, let's just take this guy out. Let's deny him and not allow the ball even to come in the post, not allow it to come to him on the perimeter. That's another thing, Latup, that I'm paying attention to. It's like, when he's trailing, don't let him catch it because he's such a good passer. Do not allow them to play through him at all.
That's why I wonder, for like, do you put Dylan Mitchell? I just don't think you can put Dylan Mitchell on Boozer. And if you do, maybe you are sending a double if that's the case, because I like Mitchell on a Gongba, on a Malik Brown, because neither of those guys, Gongba's been turnover prone when he's been in the post the last couple games. Malik Brown, those two guys trigger so much just with their passing ability. So I want Mitchell to be pressuring the ball, getting into, using that length. I think that in turn hurts Boozer. That's another way to guard Boozer, is the way you guard Gongba and guard Brown. So I just think that's the story for me. Like, do they send two at Boozer? I don't think you can give him a steady diet of anything. I think if they're going to trap, you trap a couple times on the catch, you trap a couple times on the dribble, you go single coverage a couple times, like keep him off balance. I think that's what I'm looking for in that game, because I think that could determine whether or not St. John's can pull this off.
I bet St. John's +7. I'm just rolling. I'm rolling with them. I feel good about them. I got to. You're laying that. It's 6.5 now. I mean, I got the best of it. I mean, it's hard to be.
Yeah,
this sharp.
I think I am. So, I am going 6.5. Yep. All right.
I'll see you in Indianapolis, man. We'll hash this out. And I'm just hoping that if my eye is healed, God willing, I'll be there. But even if it's not,
I'm worried about those mosquitoes in Memphis, man. Goodness gracious.
Toast the Knights of the mosquitoes in Memphis. No, they're not. Obviously, we got
some bug spray on, man.
Yeah, I got some work to do. All right, we didn't get a chance to hit on Michigan State, UConn, so we're going to do that in the afters. That's going to do it for us here on SiriusXM. Join us over on YouTube on the afters.
Anyone that watches After Dark knows that we like to have a beverage or two during the show. But one thing I've noticed as I've gotten into my 40s is that I can't bounce back like I used to. I can hydrate, I can get 8 hours of sleep, I can drink on a full stomach, but I still wake up groggy with a foggy head and low motivation to do anything in the morning. That's where Cheers Health comes in. I've started using Cheers Restore on nights where I have a couple of drinks, and I was shocked at how good I felt in the morning. Their claim to fame is that you will feel 50% better in the morning or your money back. While you sleep, Cheers Restore helps you metabolize alcohol and more efficiently supports overall liver health. Most people think dehydration is why you get a hangover, but the real issue is your brain going into rebound mode. The DHM in Cheers works while you sleep to smooth out that rebound. Take Cheers Restore after your last drink or before going to bed and wake up feeling at least 50% better or your money back. For a limited time, our listeners are getting 20% off their entire order by using code F68 at cheershealth.com. Just head to cheershealth.com and use code F68. Do you love the look of denim jeans but crave the comfort that comes with wearing sweats? Well, then I need to tell you about today's sponsor, Rag & Bone Miramar. Miramar is Rag & Bone's revolutionary printing technique that makes ultra soft fabrics like terry cloth, stretch cotton blends, and movement-ready knit fabrics look exactly like real denim. You get the vibe of wearing a crisp pair of freshly washed jeans without the stiffness. You get the comfort of wearing a pair of worn-in sweatpants without, looking like a slob. The best part about Rag & Bone Miramar is in the details. They added real functional elements like zip flies, button closers, and pockets. You can even wear a belt with them if you want to. You can get them in athletic, straight leg, as track pants, or whatever style you're looking for. Rag & Bone has spent 20 years mastering denim, and with the Miramar, they have completely reimagined it. It's time to upgrade your denim with Rag & Bone. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off their entire order with code F68 at rag-bone.com. That's 20% off at rag-bone.com with promo code F68.
These my DJ Burns shades I had for.
That was like taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die gotta be one of the black guys. They're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
Welcome into the Afters. Matt McCall, Michael Tulip, Lisa Left Eye Lopez here with you for a few minutes as we address. Rest in peace. I'm keeping her spirit alive, though. You know what I mean? I really am right here on the show tonight. This show is for Lisa. All right, we don't want no scrubs. All right, we did not get to Michigan State, UConn. You guys just yap. It's unbelievable. I can't wait for this one. It's a short number for UConn, Matt. I believe they're a 2-point favorite. How do you see this one playing out?
First of all, what a matchup. The Illinois-Houston game and this game, to me, are the two best games in the Sweet 16. These are the ones that are like circled on the bracket of, I can't wait to watch these. I mean, these two coaches going at each other, Coach Hurley, Coach Izzo. I think Michigan State's kind of a team that's a little bit flying under the radar. Is it crazy to think about that or say that or make that statement? Fears has just gotten better as the season has gone on. Let's not forget early on in the season, in a home game, he dribbled off his foot against Duke with the game on the line. And Cam Boozer then ends up making a play, plays off 2 feet, kicks it out. Duke makes a 3 to win the game. But this Michigan State team has just improved, gotten better. I'm anxious to see, like, how is UConn guarding them? How are they going to guard pick and rolls? What are they doing with Jackson Kohler? Are they going to switch pick and rolls on him when he's at the 4? Like, Cooper's been unbelievable for him. So this is – UConn's a team that we all thought going into the season could win a national championship. I think they put everything together in that game against St. John's a few weeks back up in Hartford. And now, I mean, it's right here. And can they do it again? Because I think this Michigan State team is really, really good.
What do you think, Mike?
I'll take anything that doesn't resemble the exhibition game we saw played between these two teams back in October, because there were 75 free throws taken in that game. And a lot's changed for both of these teams. I mean, Reed didn't play in that game. Mullins didn't play in that game. And Jordan Scott for Michigan State has emerged as just such a pivotal piece for this Michigan State team. And we've just seen him. That's why, like, the matchups in the backcourt are really fascinating to me, because Jordan Scott's been a guy, like, he guarded Keaton Wagler. He guarded Braden Smith at times. Like, he's been a guy that's been able to allow Jeremy Fears to be off ball more defensively, to roam, get in gaps, pick sixes. And with the way that UConn runs offense, is there a chance for Jordan Scott to be a disruptor at that point of attack is definitely a question. Now, the other question for Michigan State is, like, Carson Cooper was not in a good spot with Caravan. I mean, and Caravan's playing with confidence. He was tremendous last game. Cooper had trouble chasing him around. Cam Ward had some trouble chasing him around. Like, that 4 spot, like, whoever you end up putting on Caravan, we've seen it over the years, can just shatter your defense with the way they use him, not only as a shooter, but as a screener, as a cutter, as a slipper. That's definitely something that I'm looking for. And I think, another X factor in this game is Trey Ford. I mean, Trey Ford's been a guy that the minutes have fluctuated throughout the season. And then now I just think they've come into tournament time and they're like, hey, we need a guy that can come off the bench and just give us some sort of punch offensively. And he's done that. I mean, another 12 points last game against Louisville, knocked down some big shots, the 4-point play in the first half. I think this is one of those games that I believe is another one of those close spreads, right?
Yeah, it's UConn -2. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how this game is going to play out. I mean, I think this feels like a 60-something type of game. And I know Michigan State's going to try to push the pace, and as they should. I mean, a lot of their guys that knock down threes, whether it's Kohler, whether it's Tang, whether it's Fort, like they get a lot of those off of catch and shoot. Those are a lot of catch and shoot guys, not a lot of creators. So Fears is going to have to create at a really high level once again in this one against a UConn defense that is one of the best in America.
All right. Dagan, you want to hit the Midwest here before we get out of here? Sorry, the train's going by. I think it's like I'm sure you guys heard that. Penny's the conductor. He does it every time I'm on the show. All right.
Did they drop some wings off from Ching's? Can you get some Ching's wings dropped off at your house?
I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice because it's like it's ruining my aura. You know what I mean? Like every time Penny's the damn conductor. But he has to find some staff. All right, he's got to find some staff. It's just he's a one-man band right now. All right, no LJ Kaysen for Michigan. We know that. Josh Jefferson. I saw the tweet from John Rothstein, which was that he's progressing. He's continuing to progress every day, which I think is true of all of us, right?
Aren't we all? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're either progressing
every single day.
You're either progressing.
We're either getting
or
better or getting
my
worse.
eye. You're regressing.
You're regressing.
Yeah.
Got to put a hot compress on that thing.
I'm gonna have to since it's over. By the way, I don't expect Josh Jefferson to play on Friday. Please cite me when that is the case. But I am not expected to play for Iowa State. So I'll go to you first, Matt. You're an SEC guy. Can Tennessee take advantage of no Josh Jefferson in a way that Kentucky could and did not?
Oof. I think Tennessee can. I mean, Nate Ament to me is the most underappreciated freshman in the country. I think he may have more upside than any of these guys in terms of NBA potential. And he's missed some games and he's been out some games. But this guy he is special in terms of what he can do. But I think too much Iowa State. Like too much Iowa State with this team. Their defensive efficiency. At one point in time, they were leading the country in defensive efficiency and offensive efficiency. They ran into some issues on the offensive end of the floor. I just think that this team and TJ Alsenberger, I mean, as long as he's not going to North Carolina, this team's moving on to the Elite Eight.
Mike, any love for Tennessee?
I worry about them because they lack a secondary creator, and then it's been really the issue all year for them. And against a team like Iowa State, who will turn you over. I mean, Tennessee's turnovers have been an issue most of the year. I mean, I think they've been better over the last month, but I think a lot of that has been masked by the SEC. And so, I mean, they had 17 turnovers against Miami. And I just think that's going to overwhelm them in a lot of ways. I mean, the Gillespie and Lipsy matchup is amazing. That's one I'm certainly looking forward to. It's just the question of, can Tennessee be strong with their ball security enough to make the potential gap that they create on the glass work for them? Because I think they can still do that. It's just you can't be the team that's not playing to your strengths on the glass and turning it over. I think that's where this could get out of hand. But I will say, I mean, the Joshua Jefferson absence, I mean, he was on a scooter with a boot. I've learned with Patrick Gongba to never assume that the scooter plus boot combo means out, because he rolled into the TCU game on said scooter with said boot and played. So, I think
The
for Jefferson,
scooter and the boot is a bad combination. The scooter and the boot.
Totally.
It's such
Like-
a bad combination.
Like, I
You
mean,
would think.
okay, bro, you don't need to be. I mean, you could literally be like a casual person off the street, right? And you say, "Hey, look at that person. Look at that person. Do you think they're
On a
playing in
scooter
4
and a
days?"
boot.
No,
I'm
they're
just
not
saying,
playing.
all I'm saying is Patrick Gongba rolled in to Greenville on a scooter with a
That's true. He
boot
did.
and
That's true. He did.
played. So
But he
this
was,
one,
but he had
this,
missed more time though, right? Like he had missed.
yes,
you know.
I for the record, I do not think Joshua Jefferson is going to play. And my point would be like this is, I think Iowa State has continued to prove that they have such a solid identity that when your star goes down, this dude that is second in Player of the Year rating on KenPom, like when this dude goes down, I don't want to say you don't miss a beat, but you've been able to, take care of business against a Kentucky. But Heisey he's able to fill in and still be able to contribute at a high level, just given what he does as like a star in his role. And I think that's important. He gives them an edge. He can obviously space the floor on occasion. He gives them a toughness. I mean, I like Iowa State in this game. I'll just go back to what I said at the top. Tennessee, I just don't. It's been the issue all year. They felt a wing short. They felt a ball handler short, and I think this is the game where it gets them.
Yeah, I mean, and if it is indeed the end, I still, what a freaking year for them, man. I mean, this was not supposed to be a Sweet 16 year for Rick Barnes, and it is. And we'll see. It could be an Elite 8 year, but if it ends at the Sweet 16, still a really good year. And then Alabama, Michigan. I really love this Alabama team. I've watched damn near every game they've played this year because I love the modern offense. I love LeBaron Philon Jr. He is my favorite guard to watch in college basketball. I don't think we talk about him enough. With that being said, Matt, when I think about the worst possible matchups for this Alabama team, it is Michigan. That is because we saw what they did against Arizona and we saw what they did against Florida. They just did not fare well whatsoever, and it's why they're a big reason why they're 10-point underdogs in this game.
I mean, 10 seems like a lot, especially in a Sweet 16 game, but the size, the physicality of this Michigan team, I don't see it. I don't see a path for Alabama to win this unless they make 17 threes and Michigan turns it over, which they've done. Michigan has had issues all year with turnovers. I think that would be, the only path for Alabama to win the game is if can they make 14 threes and Michigan turn the ball over. I would say that's the way for this team for the Alabama team to advance.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it isn't a good matchup for Alabama, I think. And you just look at what Michigan has done to these types of teams, and I say types of teams, these teams that want to get up and down, that play higher possession games. And I've referenced it before, but the highest possession games that Michigan has played this year, and I think Alabama is going to join this list. It was USC, it was Villanova, it was Gonzaga. And all three of those teams met a very gory demise. And so I just the way to get Michigan this year, if you want to look at Duke and you want to look at Purdue, those are Michigan's two lowest possession games for the season. And we just know that that's not Nate Oates and this Alabama group. They're not going to come into this game and say, let's just change the way we play. They're going to play the way they play. And you just got to hope that you can create advantages early in transition, turnovers like McCall mentioned, leading to runouts. Because I don't think you want to play a half court game with Michigan. I mean, teams are shooting 35% from the field, in the half court against Michigan. So, and then for this Michigan offense, this is an Alabama defense. They switch really 1 through 4, and then they funnel everybody into the paint. So can you work for quality shots if you're Michigan? The 10 probably on its face looks like a lot, but this is going to be a really high possession game that creates for, opens up the opportunity for a lot of variance and an opportunity for Michigan to potentially blow this thing open if Alabama can't. You said 14 threes, McCall?
I would say 14.
Right? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like even higher. Like I think it's probably got to be 17 plus to feel like you're in this thing, given what they do. So yeah, I like Michigan in this one.
Well, they just made 19 against Texas Tech.
Yeah,
So
I
we
mean,
know
it's
they're
possible.
capable of
There's
doing it.
no
Yeah.
doubt it's possible.
And that was a game in which LeBaron Philon just wasn't even close to himself, and they still managed to beat the brakes off Texas Tech. So I won't put it past them, but I can't get that Florida image out of my head. When they went to Gainesville and they were about an 8.5 point underdog, man, that second half hit, and it was just a barrage. I think Florida went on like a 20-0 run or something, Matt. It was nasty. And it was just the bigs, really. It was the bigs getting out and causing turnovers and run outs. And I just, I worry that Michigan's kind of like Mike said, this is just a team that they're ready-made, built to beat. So we'll see. That's why they play the games. But it feels like Alabama's going to have to have an exquisite shooting night to keep up in this one. I hope they do, though. I hope they find a way to do it and keep their season alive. Dagan, is that it? Is there anything else? All right. Well, that's easy enough. Only 2 days away. So we'll be counting down the hours, no question about it. As always, to keep it locked here on Field of 68 After Dark. We're going to be back tomorrow previewing Sweet 16, seeing what the latest is with Hubert Davis in the North Carolina search. I guess there's really no more latest with Hubert. It's more about the Carolina coaching search. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. In the meantime, for Matt McCall, for Mike LaTulip, I'm John Martin. Have a great night.